Hey guys, it's Miss Birds again, and I'm back with another tutorial, and today we're actually going to be setting up our border for our giant playing card assignment. So the first thing that we want to do, anytime that we see a playing card, there's normally some sort of border, some type of lettering in the outside. Remember, we are going to be doing face cards, so you want to make sure that you leave room for either your J for a jack, a K for a king, or a Q for a queen. Remember, we're not going to be doing the ace card because what we want to do is we really want to look at face cards. So cards that have faces on them, because you're going to be doing part of your face or your character on the top and then reversing that image and doing the same thing on the bottom, which we see in most playing cards. Now, in order for us to have that space here, we really want to create a border. It's just going to enclose our picture and it's going to make it look really nice. So you want to make sure that you're working on 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. This is just your normal standard size of white paper that you should have in your folder, or feel free, if you don't have that, just to go ahead and use like a piece of notebook paper, any kind of paper that you do have. On this 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, I always like to go with a border size that's about 1 inch. It'll give you a nice thick border around the side here, but it'll also be very proportional to the paper. We don't want to do a border too wide because then we're not going to have enough room for our image, and we don't want to do it too small either because then we're going to have to fill up a lot of space. So about 1 inch width is going to be what you really want for your border. So what I'm going to do is, first things first, I'm going to take my ruler, go to the inches side, which is the large size. If you're using the plastic ruler that you received in your supplies packet, remember, you're not going to start at the very edge of the ruler, but you're going to start where that zero, that really long zero line is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up that zero to the edge of my paper, and then I'm just going to lightly mark that one, okay, that large one, that really, really large line. And I'm going to do that same step for the top, the bottom of the paper, and then also the other side. So I'm going to flip my ruler, line it up with the zero, mark the 1 inch, and do the same on the other side. For this one, I'm actually just going to line the 1 inch to the edge of the paper, and I'm going to mark where the zero is. That'll still give me 1 inch measurement. And then I'm going to go to the bottom of the paper and mark again. Now you should have really light marks, one on each side of your paper, and what we're going to do now is create a very light line that's going to connect all of those points together. Now you don't want to draw really dark, so don't push down on your pencil really hard. Remember, we want to keep it light, so that way in case we make any mistakes, we accidentally draw our line a little bit swerved or crooked, we can go back and erase it. So I'm just going to go through and put my ruler right on that dash line that I created. I'm going to make sure that my ruler is nice and straight and even on my paper, that I don't have it moving to the side like this, because of course our border will be smaller on the bottom and wider on the top. So you really want to make sure that when you're using any kind of art tool like a ruler, that you're using it properly and what it's used for. Otherwise you're not really going to get the effect that you need. Okay, so I'm lining up my ruler, and again, I'm not going to push down very hard. I'm just going to create a very soft line, a very light line, just to mark where my border is. Remember, we can always go back over that line later and make it darker if we need to. I'm going to flip my paper over, and I'm going to put my ruler on my dot that I made, my little dash. And I'm not going to go to the very edge of the paper. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start from where my line is. So that line that I created on the side, I'm going to line my ruler up with that. Make sure it is on the dash, and from that line, I'm going to move it over. Okay, so again, we're not going all the way to the very edge of the paper, just kind of meeting that line. And you can see I have a nice inch border right here and also right here. So let's go ahead and finish up the other ones. I'm going to turn my paper back this way. I'm going to start from where I ended my line. Make sure my ruler is lined up with my dash that I had here. And just again, create that nice light line. And then I'm going to close it off with my final section at the bottom. Okay, now I can always go back and make those lines a little bit darker, but as you see, I have a nice border that is all the same size going completely around my paper. So when I start doing my drawing is only going to be in the center of this rectangle that I created. Okay, when you're putting in your actual letter, so if you choose to do a king and you want to do a K, that would go on the outside corner of where your border is, right? So it'd be on the outside corner here, and then also on the opposite corner here, okay, just like a normal playing card would be. And that is the end of this tutorial for how to draw a border for your giant playing card.